Sam, have you ever been to the Swamp before? Probably not.
No, I haven't.
When you go to these like iconic stadiums for the first time and play in them, like, are you curious at all, and well before pregame or anything, to kind of look around or see the space or anything like that? Does that matter to you?
I mean, not as much as some other people. Like, I have a routine on game day. I get to wherever we're at, and the first time I come out is when we warm up. I don't really come out before that. Just, I like being in there, being able to take my time and get ready, my preparation.
There's this streak, I'm sure you heard about, that Tennessee has not won in the Swamp since 2003. Is that relevant to this team or this game, you think?
I think it's definitely something we've discussed and something that is on our mind. It's not necessarily something that we're like rah-rahing around, but it's something that we want to take advantage of and kind of be go down there with something on our mind, a goal in mind for sure.
Do you have to change anything about your preparation going to play on the road as the center, having to communicate calls, silent count, all that?
I mean, when it comes to like cadence and stuff like that, we've worked around a couple things. We do a little bit of silent cadence during the week. I think it really just comes down to how the atmosphere is on game day, like hearing wise and seeing how it is there.
When do you make those adjustments? Is it like during the first drive, after the first series?
Usually it's after the first drive. I'll come off and there'll be a conversation had, like, hey, how's it here and stuff? How's the cadence? Do we need to go silent, stuff like that? So it's really just kind of played by ear.
This is a 3-7 Florida team, but I'm sure you've heard that no matter what, Florida's going to play their best game against Tennessee just because of the rivalry and everything. Just kind of what's the team's mindset headed into this?
Coach Hype every week, he says, every opponent's nameless and faceless. You have to approach every team like, they're the best team in the nation. We have to go play at our best. Focus on the details, focus on our preparation. Record doesn't really matter. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day. So it's just really focusing on what we need to do internally and kind of just going and doing our thing.
What have you seen from that Florida defense early in the week on film?
Yeah, no, they're a good team. They're a really good team. I have a lot of respect for the defensive line. Do a lot of stuff that we've seen throughout the year. A lot of stunts, a lot of stuff that we have to keep in mind, have to be prepared for. They're a good group. Any SEC defensive line is going to be a good group you go up against. So just preparing for that. Getting there mindset wise, getting there physicality wise, just something we have to focus on for sure.
For you guys as an offensive line, what do you think you guys have done well over the last 2 or 3 games, or what are some things you guys have been trying to improve that you've seen in games?
I think as an offensive line, moving away from just necessarily straight technique stuff, I think our communication's gotten increasingly better every game we played. Moving people in and out, going in and out of drives, just making sure we're all on the same page is such a big deal to us and to the whole offense. I think that's gotten extremely better as we've gone on. I think the run game is continuing to get better. I think it's something that we really focus on throughout the week, something Coach really harps on a lot. Because without that you're one-dimensional, and we take a lot of pride doing our part in the offense and keeping everybody clean, and we're just trying to focus on that for sure.
In what ways would you say you've grown the most in that center role this season?
I think being able to sort through the mess is something that I've grown in. Playing in the offense that we play in, playing at the tempo we play at, playing against the defenses that we play. There's a lot of studying that goes into it. There's a lot of front recognition. There's a lot of, calmness in the storm. That's some stuff I've tried to kind of work on, and I think I've gotten better at for sure.
How about your connection or relationship with Joey? How has that grown and helped you in your role and the pair of you guys together?
Yeah, no, me and Joe, we continue to get closer. I think we're pretty close now. I think he'd say the same. Just knowing some of his tendencies and doing what he likes, is something that was important to me earlier in the year. And knowing that now just helps me be a better center for a quarterback, and just continue to kind of have his connection to the rest of us. Because we're just 5 guys blocking, playing football. And if you have no connection to the guy in the backfield, it's just kind of hard. But yeah, we're blessed.
Just having some different combinations on the offensive line lately been a challenge, and how have you guys kind of navigated that?
I think honestly, it's been really good. I think the guys that roll in, the guys that come out, and the rotation that we have is really good for the tempo we play at. It's good to get a little wind back. It's good to keep dudes moving in, keep guys that are fresh, physically, mentally. and whoever comes in, they do a great job. Like I have no doubt in my mind when someone rolls in or someone rolls out.
Speaking of positions, I know you had your position change. David Sanders went from left to right this year. How much have you seen him grow in that position throughout the season?
Yeah, Dave has grown so much, even since fall camp, since I got here. Dave has grown in his preparation. Dave's grown in his body. And, Dave's put on weight. Dave's focused on the little things that he needs to be where he's at now. And, not saying anyone's perfect, but I think Dave's done a really good job getting to where he is now and continuing to grow.
What do you think the mindset is for somebody like you or anybody else to have to change positions on the offensive line like that?
Yeah, outside looking in, you think you're just moving over 3 feet, but it's almost a different world when you're moving into something like that, especially side to side like Dave did. It's definitely something that you have to put a lot of work into early, especially fall camp, and you're kind of everyone's kind of rotating where they're at, trying to find the best fit, and then once you kind of are cemented where you're at, it was a big part for me was just making sure that I was good at the fundamentals, and all the extra stuff came after, trying to get to the extra, +1, trying to get to the extra call if you can. Wasn't necessarily my priority at first, but now that, you kind of have your fundamentals down and stuff that, you can do well, that's where you can kind of explore your game a little bit more.
How do you stay physically fresh as an offensive lineman this late in the year? You guys are playing your 11th game. It's a rugged position, lots of wear and tear. How do you keep your body fresh and your mind fresh too?
We have a really good training staff here. Our trainers do a really good job throughout the week. At offensive line, you never want to come off the field. You never want to say, "Oh, I'm hurting," because that's soft. Lack of a better term, sorry. But they do a good job checking in, saying like, "Hey, how's this doing? Well, what can we do to maybe not necessarily take you out, but limit what you're doing and try to take care of your body a little bit more." Emphasizing taking care of your body in your free time, when you don't have class, being in the training room, getting treatment, or getting in the cold tubs, getting in the hot tubs. And even the coaches do a really good job emphasizing how important that is for us. So I think that's been a really good thing for me this year.
With Lance Hurd, when you guys are in the film room, what stands out to you most about where he's finding his success that maybe doesn't register to the normal person?
Right. Yeah, Lance does a really good job understanding little aspects of the game. Lance is extremely physical, as I'm pretty sure everyone in college football knows. And he's just really smart in understanding what's going on the edges. He does a really good job being my ears when I can't see out on the edge. In the edge pressure, he's making calls down the line, making out calls, stuff like that, stuff that's important for me to know. Being in the middle, I'm not always clued into what's going on. With corner safeties, edge stuff. He does a really good job, even in film, talking about what's his mindset doing here. What kind of set is he going to take depending on this kind of guy? And then that helps me when I'm in scheme where I'm going back or going to be in combination with him to understand where he's at so I can be, in sync with him for sure.